Good morning, welcome to the second day of action here for tournament number 3 of the Goalball Super League. Based out in Oundle on this tournament, we've got the first semi-final of day 2. It's technically day 1 again because all the scores are technically reset. Everyone's on a fresh. We've got the seedings of Fenland Tigers against the London Elephants. So the Fenland Tigers qualified from the league in first position, and the London Elephants qualified in the 4th position. So the winner of this one goes into the playoff finals. So let's run through the teams that we've got. We've got Dan Roper from the Fenland Tigers, Josh McKenty and Matthias Jensen. Then on the London Elephants side, we have the team of James wearing number 2, Michael Sharkey wearing number 3, Josh Murphy wearing number 4, Naki is wearing number 6, David Scott wearing number 7, and Ruben is wearing number 9. Plays on court at the moment, we've got David Scott, Michael Sharkey and Josh Murphy. We saw them feature quite a lot yesterday. That's their normal starting lineup that we have seen. And with the Fenland Tigers, they only currently have 3 players. They're missing Mark Powell, and they're missing the legend of the sport of myself. But we've got Matthias Jensen will be playing in the centre position. Josh McKenty and Dan Roper will be playing the wings. So we are going to see a chess match to start the game. They're going to be sussing each other out. It's a Sunday morning. Bodies are going to be feeling tired and tight after playing a whole day yesterday. Keep tuned in. It's going to be a very interesting game. We saw London Elephants with an emphatic win to cement themselves in 4th place yesterday. They beat the team that qualified in 2nd 12 goals to 2, giving them a mercy win to push themselves into that 4th place and cement it and push it and make sure that they're in the higher place seeding games today. We've got the likes of David Scott, who can score at will when he's on form. And then we've also got on the opposite side Dan Roper. So it's going to be a battle between David Scott and Dan Roper to see who's going to score the more goals between them. Josh McKenty will want to chip in with his goals, and he's a strong lad that knows how to put the ball in the back of the net. And Matthias Jensen on that Fenland Tigers team rounding out. He's a really strong motoring centre that doesn't need many shots. He just needs to stop the ball, get it distributed out to his wings and keep the ball out the back of the net, which is something that he does really well. I've had the joys of playing alongside him and also commentating and watching him play for a little while now. So we're going through the final checks at the moment. Ice Age checks are underway. London will be throwing first. I've got the joys of the team sheet, so it does tell me who is throwing first. So Fenland Tigers will be defending first, and London will be throwing first to open this game up. So London have an early opportunity to score with the first shot of the game. Normally with the first shot of the game on a brand new day, it means it's a brand new ball, so you don't really want to be going at 100% pace to start this one. Sure, you've just been warming up, but you are still game cold. The officials taking us through the proceedings of today. We've got Marina and we've also got Dina two very experienced referees that will be kept on their toes with these two teams, I believe. There was a lot of penalties from this London squad yesterday and quite well disciplined from the Tigers team. So we'll see how it goes. So David Scott picks up the ball from the centre, moves across to his right, stands in his pocket, bouncing, scooping effort straight across the centre of Matthias Jensen. Jensen passes the ball off to his right to Dan Roper. Another bouncing effort straight down the line to Josh McKenty. So from the London's line-up side, we've got Josh McKenty on the left, Michael Sharkey in the centre, and David Scott on the right. And on the Fenland Tigers side, we've got Josh McKenty on their left wing, Matthias Jensen in the centre, and Dan Roper on the right wing. Dan Roper with the ball on the right wing, bouncing effort against Josh Murphy. Josh Murphy looking to reply with a bouncing effort, finds itself out of bounds. So as you're viewing it on the screen, Fenland Tigers will be on the right of your screen and London Elephants will be on the left of your screen. Ball's passed off to the left wing of Josh McKenty. Cross-court effort, finds the back of the net from post and in. Really beautiful long cross-court shot there from Josh McKenty. Finds the back of the net, early advantage to the Fenland Tigers, 1-0. David Scott trying to equal that score back with a scooping effort, rotating and letting that ball loose. Michael Sharkey trying to settle down proceedings with a little skippy bounce, trying to beat Josh McKenty. Finds the crossbar and then bounces in front of Josh McKenty. He's gone then back to that long cross-court smooth shot. Josh Murphy bouncing effort down the line against Dan Roper, dealt well with. He stands up, gets himself set, rotating, smooth effort across the floor, finds the legs of Josh McKenty, blocks the ball out. David Scott has moved across from his right wing to the left wing, sets himself off on the left post, rotating effort, smooth effort. David Scott equals the scoring, back up, the ball cut under Matthias Jensen. So we've got 1-1. And this is the game what we said that it's going to be who can score more goals between David Scott and Dan Roper. Dan Roper looking to have a quick reply across the centre. Josh Murphy backs him up really nicely. Josh Murphy is shooting straight down the centre, passes the ball off to Josh McKenty. Rotating, smooth effort against Michael Sharkey's hands. Held the ball well. Passes the ball off to his right. Bouncing effort against Matthias Jensen, deals with it well, holds on to the ball, passes it off to Dan Roper, finds the gap between Josh Murphy and Michael Sharkey out on the left wing. Hands couldn't get there, feet couldn't get there, finds the back of the net. The score is now 2-1 to the Fenland Tigers. The ball has found its way to the hands of David Scott. Rotating effort from the right hand side, pushing the ball out to the post. Held well by Josh McKenty. Stands up, takes it to his post on the left. Rotating effort, long cross court shot. So we've got Josh Murphy out on the left. Smooth effort, trying to beat Matthias Jensen. He gathers it, stands up, picks it up, passes the ball off to his right wing of Dan Roper. Bouncing effort against Josh Murphy. There's a lot of Joshes, and I may say their surnames the wrong way around. Josh Murphy with a bouncing effort against Dan Roper. Stands up, opted to not do the quick return. Quick 360 turn on the spot. Michael Sharkey looking at slowing the game down. Passes the ball off to David Scott. Really nice, smooth, skippy bounce. It didn't probably didn't come out of David Scott's hand as well as he wanted it to, so it lifted a little bit. Dan Roper picks the ball up from his right wing, takes it across to the left, tries to beat the hip of Michael Sharkey, bounces up forward in front of David Scott, picks it up on the right post, tries to beat Josh McKenty down the left. Matthias Jensen gathers the ball for Josh McKenty out on the left. Rotating effort across the centre, beats the gap of Josh Murphy and Michael Sharkey again. That is 3 goals to the Fenland Tigers, 1 goal to the London Elephants. Josh McKenty has 2 goals so far this game. He's becoming a big game player. When the game's on the line, he's one of the players you want the ball in the hands of. So now it's a good timeout call there by the London Elephants to try to break up the momentum. They've now got a chance to regroup and figure out their position and what they need to do. Josh Murphy needs to take his body position a little bit higher, come up to the team line where Michael Sharkey is playing to cut off the angle that's coming across, because then it gives him a chance to tuck in a little bit more behind Michael Sharkey, or Michael needs to step across because he can hear that the movement shot is coming from his left hand side, so he needs to be anticipating and waiting a second because he knows his legs can stop it, but he needs to get his hands to it. Michael Sharkey with a fake run up, a bouncing effort from the centre from Josh Murphy, finds the hands of Dan Roper, straight into the hands of Dan Roper, rotating, bouncing effort, parried out by Josh Murphy. Ball is out on the left wing. David Scott picks up the ball. Smooth effort, trying to beat David Scott. Dan Roper, with the knowledge of, gathers it cleanly, wants to then to get the ball up and quick return. Should have probably sent it back to where David Scott was because he was a little bit slow coming back to a spot. Josh Murphy out on the left, bouncing effort. It's a slow bounce that you have to wait for. You don't want to let it beat you because currently the ball's new. It's not broken in yet. It's not bouncing as hard as everyone wants it to. Josh Murphy takes that shot. Josh McKenty, apologies, did mention. Josh Murphy takes a shot across Michael Sharkey, distributes it out to the right hand side of David Scott. Matthias Jensen gathers the ball, opts to shoot himself on this one. Awkward bouncing effort, beats the hands of Michael Sharkey, but the legs are backed up by Josh Murphy. Bouncing from Josh Murphy across Matthias Jensen. Dan Roper gathers it, bouncing effort against Michael Sharkey, gathers it well with his hands. He needed a good stop in that pocket. Passes the ball off to David Scott. David Scott, rotating effort. Dan Roper dealt with it well, passes the ball off to Josh McKenty. Long cross-court effort by Josh McKenty, only finds the out by a whisker. Bouncing effort against Dan Roper. Picks the ball up, takes it out to his right post. Smooth effort. You can really tell when he's trying to put that power through it. It really generates that spin and the rotation on the ball. David Scott tries to bounce the ball against him, pushes it out. We've got a timeout call by the Fenland Tigers. They're looking at trying to figure out what their next point of target is going to be. They've been able to expose that gap between Josh Murphy and Michael Sharkey in the hands and the feet. So now they need to come away from that, figure something else out, and then look at re-attacking that gap. They need to be pushing and pulling Michael Sharkey around and figuring out where to take him. We've got a big next period of this game for the London Elephants to try to consolidate it. Ball's in the hands of Dan Roper. Shoots against David Scott, finds the feet, passes it. Michael Sharkey goes and gathers the ball, collects it and passes it to David Scott. tries to beat Josh McKenty. Josh McKenty gathers the ball well, stands up. He's looking at rotating. Skippy bounce, beats Michael Sharkey, goes over the back of the net. So not in the back of net, goes over the crossbar, sends it up enough, and he's going to take some pride that it didn't go in the back of the net. It sent it just enough to get it over. Josh Murphy finds the back centre line, trying to beat Dan Roper. He goes off the crossbar, parries it a little bit out. He only hears one whistle to signify the ball's out, rather than it's in the back of the net. 2 whistles in goalball signifies the goal. But he did not hear it this time, so he goes into the back centre. Bouncing skippy effort against Josh Murphy. We've really got a lot of awkward saves at the moment within this game. But how long can awkward saves carry on as saves and goals? So we do have our first penalty opportunity of the game, and that falls to the London Elephants against Dan Roper. The ball's in the hands of David Scott in the back centre. Dan Roper waiting patiently. Sets himself. Just can't get his hands to it. Really nice execution there by David Scott. Finds the back of the net. Pushes it out to his left. Just out of the hand reach of Dan Roper. So the score is now 3-2. Dan Roper looking for a quick early reply, but is denied by Michael Sharkey's hip. Passes the ball off to Josh Murphy. Bouncing effort against Matthias Jensen. Matthias deals with it well, passes the ball off to Josh McKenty. He already has 2 goals this game. He's looking for his dad. He's denied by Michael Sharkey's hands and Josh Murphy's feet. Sends the ball out of bounds to the left-hand side. Smooth effort there by David Scott, trying to beat the hands of Daniel Roper. Matthias Jensen, awkward bouncing effort. Finds the hip of Michael Sharkey, catapults up in the air. Unfortunately, the last time the ball found over the crossbar, this time it finds the back of the net. So we've got the score for the 2-goal lead has been re-established by the Fenland Tigers. Josh Murphy trying to change that to cut it down to 1. He's denied by Matthias Jensen. Josh Murphy, smooth effort there by him, watching Michael Sharkey covering that gap nicely. Passes the ball off to David Scott. Trying to beat Josh McKenty. Finds the feet of him, sends it out of bounds. He gathers the ball. Dan Roper goes across for a fake run up. Goes across the centre. Josh out on the left. Shot straight through the centre. Dan Roper back centre with the ball. Ball's blocked forward. A big up call there by the London Elephants team, trying to make sure everyone's aware. Back centre, bouncing effort from David Scott. There's too many D's in this game. Josh Murphy gathers that ball well with his legs, moves into the back centre's position, bouncing effort against Matthias Jensen. Passes the ball off to his right hand side of Daniel Roper. Tries to beat Michael Sharkey with an undercut spin. Michael Sharkey passes the ball to his right. Tries to beat Dan Roper. Is denied. Bouncing effort, awkward. Up. So Dan Roper finds the back of the net with an awkward bouncing effort. Sends the ball up on an extremity of Michael Sharkey. So his hands and his body position is a little bit too far back, which is catapulting the ball up and finding the back of the net. He needs to be meeting the ball. David Scott trying to bring that score back to an even keel. He's got a lot of work to do. They are 3 goals down at the moment. Josh McKenty with an ill-orientated shot sends the ball out of bounds. We can let him off on that one. Michael Sharkey with a textbook up, long swooping rotation. Matthias Jensen lets him know that's going out. Ball's in the hands of Dan Roper. He comes from his right hand wing over to the left. Bouncing effort against Dan. David Scott finds the legs. Ball gets blocked forward. So we've got a substitution here on the London Elephant side. Michael Sharkey is making way. James is coming on for Michael Sharkey. It's an interesting substitution because of Michael Sharkey's experience and knowledge of the sport. It sounds like he has been suffering with this game. There's been a few errors from him. David Scott has moved himself into the back centre position. We've got an official timeout for a little bit of moppage. We've got 3 minutes 20 left on the clock of this first half. James brings these awkward bouncing efforts because it's more of a slingshot release that he has. Is a harder one to track and a harder one to listen out for. So we've got David Scott moving into the centre position, James moving out onto the right hand post, bouncing effort, high ball there by James. This is what I was talking about, that slingshot release there from James. He didn't get low enough to release that ball, which then sent the ball over the high ball line. So it's an early opportunity for him to get himself involved in the game and defend a penalty. He's gone all the way out to the high ball line and setting himself up in a position. And it's paid off for him this time. He guessed where the ball was going to go to and it went straight to him. So the ball is in the hands of Josh Murphy out on the left. Bouncing effort against Matthias Jensen. He deals with it well, bounces it on his legs, passes it off to Josh McKenty. Long cross-court effort, finds the hands of Josh Murphy, parries it out. Ball is still out on the left-hand side. It now gives Fenland Tigers opportunities to target both wings. They weren't targeting the wing that David Scott was on, but now it gives them opportunities to test both wings out. So we might see a tactical switch up there from the Fenland Tigers soon. I do feel like the London Elephants are a little bit in survival mode. By pulling off one of their strongest shooters and putting him into the centre, it takes them away from shooting the ball as much. It does give them an awkward shot to go up against. Josh McKenty with a long cross-court effort again. David Scott takes the ball back centre, bouncing effort, trying to beat Matthias Jensen, finds the hips and Dan Roper takes it out onto his right post. Quick shot, trying to beat the legs of David Scott and Josh Murphy. Bouncing effort from Josh Murphy in the centre, across the Matthias Jensen of the Fenland centre, passes the ball to Josh McKenty. Another long cross-court effort, trying to beat Josh Murphy. The ball goes to ball over. So it gives Fenland Tigers an opportunity. I feel like they need to start bringing in some movement shots to test James out. Dan Roper takes the ball around his centre and goes straight around trying to beat David Scott, but it hits the stomach of him. Awkward bouncing effort from James. Finds the legs of Josh McKenty, sends the ball out of bounds. Ball is dropped in on the left hand side. Josh McKenty opts to pick the ball up, moves towards the back centre. He's really trying to get that long cross-court bounce. Quick return effort there from Josh Murphy. Doesn't beat Matthias Jensen. Distributes the ball out to Dan Roper. Trying to beat him. But it goes straight into the gut of Josh Murphy. And he's going to eat all those up. David Scott, back centre. Bouncing effort. Well held there by Matthias Jensen. He looked like he wanted to shoot that ball, but chooses to pass the ball off to Josh McKenty with another long cross-court effort. The shot clocks are very different at the moment. The Fenland Tigers aren't waiting around to try to shoot the ball, and it looks like the London Elephants, they're trying to take seconds off the clock. Goes through the hands of Josh Murphy. He cries out for an up call, but it's already in the back of the net. So we've got the scoreline at the moment, 6 to the Fenland Tigers, 2 to the London Elephants. Really nice first bounce on that, but it didn't have any carry over the second. We're into the last minute of this first half. We've got 51 seconds on the game clock remaining of this half. James picks up the ball from the left hand side, takes it across to his right, bouncing effort, trying to beat the legs of Josh McKenty and Matthias Jensen, finds it and bobbles over the bodies and finds the back of the net. James has got himself a goal. The score is now 6 goals to 3. They've cut the lead down to 3. David Scott letting the other team know that he's defended that ball. A smooth effort there from David Scott. Finds the legs of Josh McKenty, passes the ball off, back to himself. Long cross-court effort against Josh Murphy. Finds the hands of Dan Roper, parries the ball out of bounds. We've got the ball getting dropped in on the Fenland Tigers' right-hand wing. Takes the ball back centre. Tries to beat the legs of David Scott. It pushes the ball out of bounds. That's now going to be dropped in on the left-hand wing of the London Elephants. Final seconds of the first half. Matthias Jensen blocks the ball. We've got one final shot left of the first half. They're going to have to go as quick on play as possible. They've opted to hold the ball because they didn't deem it long enough to be able to get the shot off. So we've got a half-time score of the first game of day number 2 of 6 goals to the Fenland Tigers, 3 goals to the London Elephants. It's not a gap that the London Elephants would like to see. They want to close that gap down and as quick as possible, try to bring this game back to even. And on the flip side, the Fenland Tigers, they're looking at trying to push this game out and try to solidify themselves into this final later on at 2 o'clock. So we've got conversations going on both sides at the moment. We've got London Elephants trying to figure out what they're going to be doing in the second half and how they're going to get themselves back into the game. Russ is trying to instill some confidence within his team, trying to force themselves and force their identity. And how can they do that? They need to have David Scott being able to shoot his shot and let him loose. Josh Murphy needs to be able to feel free with his bouncing efforts. Fenland Tigers need to stay strong and keep doing what they're doing. Matthias Jensen's locking down that centre position at the moment. He's playing really well in there, and he's actually freeing up the wingers of Josh McKenty and Dan Roper to play on the wing and be themselves. So the London Elephants, they need to try to employ what the Fenland Tigers are doing really well. You can hear the confidence exuding from the Fenland Tigers team. They're really complimentary of each other within their team talk. So you can say good things about me.
It was true. I thought it was good. Yeah, pass it on to All Stars. Oh, no, that's done really well there. Yeah, I thought it was very, very good for the people that are watching. Oh, it's Nina. Right. Thank you.
So we're about to have the second half underway. So the Fenland Tigers will have the first shot of the second half. Personally, as a player, I do prefer the ball in the second half because it's warmed up a bit. Your body's warm. You're in the flow of the game. First shot of the game is normally don't concede a penalty shot. The first shot of the second half is how can I get the ball in the back of the net. And the Fenland Tigers do that really well. So opening out of a dead ball situation, it's how can we extend our lead right now. So they are 6 goals to 3 at the moment, so they're 3 goals to the good. They're looking at getting themselves out, extending their lead a bit early, getting them themselves into the final, getting themselves in a cruise control position over this London Elephants team. But can London Elephants, on the flip side, flip the script, make sure that they are making a game of it because they've earned their slot to be in the playoffs. Anything can happen, and can they get themselves back into the game? They have to know in their head, Fen Tigers have been able to score 6. That means we are able to score 6. If they're able to score, we're able to score. The lead is only 3. That can be a really quick situation change of a couple penalties going their way. So we do have Josh Murphy making way from the London Elephants side and bringing Ruben into the game. So the lineup that we've got is stayed the same for the Fenland Tigers. We've got Josh Murphy out on the left, Dan Roper on the right, and Matthias Jensen in the centre. And then we've got James on the right, David Scott in the centre, and Ruben out on the left-hand wing for the London Elephants. Big bouncing effort there by Ruben. It's really first big bounce, but then the second one just doesn't carry itself. Skippy bouncing effort from Josh Murphy. Josh McKenty finds the back of the net. This is a Josh McKenty game. This is a perfect example of different players have different styles and different teams that they can play against. Josh McKenty is a beautiful example of this. It's a really strong skippy bounce, defending that ball, pushes it out, only sends himself enough that he needs to, fingertip save around the post. Dan Roper goes across to his left hand, to his teammate on the left hand post, picks up the ball, takes it across to the right. It's quick scurrying effort, skippy bouncing effort against Ruben, doesn't find the back in there but goes out of bounds. Ball's in the hands with Ruben, out on his left wing. It's rotating, smooth effort. Matthias Jensen deals with it well, passes the ball off to Josh McEntee out on the left. Confidence there from the London Elephant side after that stop. They need to have more confident stops to build themselves back into the game. The gap's now 4, so they want to try to get an early goal to try to trim that back now down to 3. The quicker they can trim this down to 3, the quicker they can make this a game for themselves. What they can't do now is give away any unforced errors. So David Scott takes the ball back centre, rotating effort, bouncing, Scoopy trying to beat Josh McEntee on his post, but he holds onto the ball well. We've got a Josh McEntee battle on at the moment. He's taken on this London Elephants team. He's taken on the responsibility to score these goals. Dan Roper takes it upon himself to stand up, get across to his left-hand post. Picks up the ball on the left-hand post. He's coming across the centre. Fires start waits in the back centre. Rotates on the spot, trying to beat the legs of David Scott. Forces the ball out of bounds. The ball's leaving the sports hall. It doesn't want to be thrown around. Ball's going to be dropped in on the left-hand side with Ruben. He was looking to go back centre, then opts to go back to his post, rotating, bouncing effort. Passes the ball. Matthias Jensen opts to shoot himself. Awkward bouncing effort. Held well by David Scott. Rotating effort, trying to beat the legs of Matthias Jensen, sends the ball up and over the crossbar. He wasn't having anything about that. He wanted to know that it wasn't going in the back of the net. Dan Roper on the left-hand post, trying to beat the hands of David Scott. Beats the hands of David Scott. But the arms of James does catch the ball. Awkward bouncing effort. It's that slingshot release by James, which makes that so awkward to defend. Blocked out there by James from an effort from Josh McEntee. A high ball call there by Dina against Ruben from the London Elephants. So Matthias Jensen's finding the back centre, so he's been able to orientate his team. It's a really smart play there from the Fenland Tigers. Information coming in from the bench. He signals to Dan Roper where the centre line is. He goes out to his left. Ruben waited for the ball. He looked like he was about to block it, but it just beats his legs. He just needed to be down quick enough. He started off in a really high position and didn't stay low enough to get that ball. So the ball is now out on the left-hand side. So we've got a 5-goal gap at the moment for the Fenland Tigers. This is what I was talking about at half-time. They wanted to get themselves up with a decent lead, and now they can start testing things, trying things out, because at 5 goals is a really crucial moment to be down. It can either break you or push you to get back into this game. So we're going to see a really interesting couple minutes now from this London Elephants side, if they can get themselves back into the game, or are Fenland Tigers going to break them and push on to try to extend their lead. Ruben's got the ball out on his left-hand wing. Bouncing effort against Matthias Jensen. He covers Dan Roper across to the goal, across to the sideline. So now this is what the conversation is going to be in the Fenland Tigers team talk. It's going to be, right, how are we doing? who needs to take on water, who needs to take on fluids, and let's push on. Let's try to get ourselves into this final nice and early. It's a really fun game we've got going on at the minute, Dom, isn't it?
Bit of a battle. Yep. Boys just hedging London out, which I obviously like to see. Yeah, it's all going well, mate. All going well.
Ball's in the hand of Josh McKenty. Orientates himself and under rotates and sends the balls out of bounds. So it was a misorientation there by Josh McKenty. Sends the ball out of bounds. He is really good at readjusting his body to understand where he needs to be. So we'll see a good readjustment on the next one. Ruben with a bouncing effort. Really nice second bounce on that one. Thought I wanted to get involved in a bit of the action. Touch the ball. Ball's in the hands of Dan Roper. Takes the ball from his right wing across the centre, sits into the pocket. It's really nice, smooth effort. A quick return, trying to get them London back involved and maybe reignite a little bit of energy into this London team. Josh McKenty back centre, pushing the ball out to the right hand post for his perspective. Finds the out of bounds, but it's a lot better of a reorientation than the last shot he just took. So it was only a ball's width out that time. Long ball call there by the official. Matthias Jensen still defends it well. So the information is coming in from the bench. So passes the ball off to Dan Roper in the back centre. He takes a step out to his right. He pushes the ball. Really nice blocking effort there by David Scott. Denies Dan Roper from the penalty score. So he shot the ball out to his right, but David Scott was tracking the ball well and saw it out of bounds. So it's opportunities like that they need to use to build themselves some confidence. Josh McKenty with a really strong, long cross-court effort. High ball call there. The London Elephants didn't really realise. He took a little stutter step and it sent the ball over the high ball line. So you have to readjust your feet. So it's another opportunity for the Fenland Tigers to capitalise. It is Josh McKenty looking to get that shot. He has been really struggling keeping that ball in bounds when he's shooting out to his right hand side. He needs to put his weight across onto his left side to counter his step out onto the right at the moment. Beautiful block there by Josh McKenty sending the ball. Dan has got up and gone across to his left-hand post. He stayed on the left-hand post. So he's looking to try to beat him with a smooth swerve. Beats James with an undercut hand swerve rotation. Finds the gap between the hands and the legs of James and David Scott. Finds the back of the net. So we've got the score of 9-3 currently in favour of the Fenland Tigers. They've got a 6-goal lead. Ball's in the hands of Ruben of the London Elephants. Straight down the line, trying to beat Dan Roper. He's going to pick up the ball on his right wing. Matthias Jensen's tucked himself into the back centre. Dan Roper has went into the goal but then opted to come out of it. Bouncing effort across the centre of David Scott. Quick return, trying to beat the likes of Matthias Jensen, is unsuccessful because those legs have shown how strong they can be. He has opted to shoot this awkward bouncing effort, trying to beat the legs of David Scott. Pushes the ball to a ball over. Ball's out on the right hand wing with Dan Roper. He sets himself low. He's getting his knees bent, ready to get his action. Bouncing swerve, smooth effort, quick return, attempt at quick return there. Looked like it got caught up on his feet and he didn't release it the way he wanted to. Another long cross-court effort there by Josh McEntee. Picks up the ball, passes the ball off to James, over on the right-hand wing. Held well there by Matthias Jensen, distributes the ball out to his left-hand side. Again, Josh McEntee sends the ball out of bounds to his right. The information and the recalibrations coming in from the bench for Josh to figure out what he needs to do. David Scott back centre with the ball for the London Elephants. Long ball call by Dina, the official, over David Scott. So the ball released from his hands correctly, but it made its first contact before the high ball line and accelerated and didn't make its contact before the long ball line. So it's an opportunity again for the Fenland Tigers to beat David Scott. They are successful this time. The score is now 10 goals to the Fenland Tigers, 3 goals to the London Elephants. Beautiful shot there by Dan Roper. He makes amends for the penalties he missed earlier on in the games. Substitution for the London Elephants. They're bringing James out and Josh Murphy on. So we're going to have the lineup of Josh Murphy, David Scott and Ruben. The lineup of the Fenland Tigers has not changed, mainly because they have no substitutions to make. Lot of information coming in from the bench of the Fenland Tigers. Emma Evans is a tactical mastermind of this game. She understands how angles and understands how people move and people react to things. So the ball's in the hands of Dan Roper, out on the right, finds the legs. So you may have heard that. Really nice shot there by Dan Roper. Listens to the referee, understands he's waiting for the referee to say play and get the ball off. So the score is now 11 goals to the Fenland Tigers, 3 goals to the London Elephants. We're creating now a mercy situation where they're only 2 goals away from it. So this is what I was talking about earlier about if a team wants to hold or break when they're at that 5 goals. This Fenland Tigers is a really strong team and it's really hard to not let them break you down. Currently, they're breaking you down. They are exposing the gaps at the moment. Dan Roper has scored another one in that same spot. It's a copy and paste goal from the goal before. So the score is now 12-3. We are 1 goal away from a semi-final mercy. So we are making a substitution for the London Elephants side. Naki is making himself known on the court. Making way is Ruben. It's going to be, I believe, a straight swap for wing. The Fenland Tigers sense the blood in the water. They're looking at getting themselves an early rest. The final will start at 2 o'clock, so they want to give themselves a good 4 hours of rest. Really strong stop there by Matthias Jensen. Ball's in the hands of Josh McEntee, who showed himself early in this game with his goals, and Dan Roper has taken on the responsibility in the second half for him. So, ball's in the hands of Dan Roper. He's just scored 2 goals in the same spot. He sets himself up. Rotating, bouncing effort, cuts the ball back across. So the lineup change that we've got for the London Elephants is David Scott has now gone out to the wing. Naki has gone into the centre. David Scott finds the back of the net, finds a bit of a cushion away from the Mercy. It's a two-goal gap that they've got at the moment away from the Mercy, an 8-goal deficit that they're trying to trim down. Hands in the ball. Ball's in the hands of Josh McKenty. Sends the ball down the centre against Naki. Passes the ball off to Josh Murphy on the left hand. The left hand pocket. Matthias Jensen picks up the ball up. He's awkwardly throwing that ball. It's a really quick paced game that they've got going on at the moment. They're really not waiting around. We've got an equipment check in play at the moment. The Fenland Tigers are known to sweat a lot, especially their number 7. Information coming in from the bench, letting positive feedback from Fenland Tigers bench, letting them know that they love the gameplay at the moment. Dan Roper takes the ball out to his left wing, bounces the ball, trying to beat the legs of David Scott, goes to the ball over, so the Fenland Tigers get another bite at the cherry to put that back up to a 9-goal lead. Every single shot they're taking, they're looking at scoring at the moment. Josh McKenty, long cross-court effort, finds the legs of Naki, finds the hands of Josh Murphy, bouncing effort, trying to beat Matthias Jensen, finds the hands. Matthias calls the ball that's going out, finds the back of the net. We're getting to a situation where the game might be back on. It's a 7-goal gap, but they've cut that lead from 9 to 7 within the last minute and a half. Dan Roper trying to re-establish it. Really nice swerving effort there by Josh Murphy. Does find out of bounds, but has cut itself back into the court. Nice movement shot there by Dan Roper. Picks the ball up from his right wing, takes it round his centre into the left-hand pocket, cuts it back, forces the ball over. Ball's in the hands of Josh McKenty. Long searching cross-court effort there. If it was personally myself with Naki in the middle, I'd be testing him with a bouncing efforts because he's fresh into the game. Smooth ones are easier to settle yourself into. Bouncing efforts are difficult. So that's a bouncing effort trying to push it out to the post of David Scott. Back of the net. We've now got a 6-goal gap. So we've gone from a 9-goal gap down to a 6-goal gap. This London Elephants side, they're leaving it a bit late. But each time they're shooting the ball, they are scoring at the moment. They're finding some gaps in this Fenland Tigers team late in the game. We've got 3 minutes 19 left on the game clock. There's plenty of time for the London Elephants to make something happen. They've scored 3 goals in the last 2 minutes of this game, bringing themselves away from a mercy loss, being 9 goals down, potentially being 10, down to a 6-goal gap within the last minute and a half, 2 minutes. So now this Fenland Tigers team really need to lock in and need to figure out what they're doing defensively, because right now the London Elephants are looking at pushing pace and power to try to beat them. It could be a little bit too late for the London Elephants side, but we've got a really strong 3 minutes of play now to make this happen. Ball's in the hands of Josh Murphy. Bouncing effort, trying to beat the likes of Matthias Jensen and Dan Roper. Picks up the ball, Dan Roper out onto the right-hand wing. Josh looking for a quick return. Doesn't beat Dan Roper. Ball is out on the right-hand side. Josh McKenty back centre with the ball, searching long cross-court effort, does find out of bounds. David Scott picks the ball up on his left wing, takes it across to his right, bouncing effort against Matthias Jensen. Matthias deals with it well. He's made the adjustments now that he needed to do to figure out what it's like to have him out on the wing. Finds the feet of Josh Murphy, doesn't find the back of the net, but sends the ball forward. Josh Murphy bouncing effort against Matthias Jensen, sends the ball, this time sends the ball out of bounds. So he took that one in the face, so now he's got a readjustment of his eye shades. So within Goalball, you're not allowed to touch your eye shades whilst the game's in play, because it is deemed as an illegal conduct. So you have to ask the official, they have to inspect you readjusting your eye shades to make sure there's no shenanigans going on. Really nice shot there by Josh McKenty, trying to search and bounce that against David Scott. So really, really nice, powerful shot there by David Scott. I think he got away with a high ball. So he got himself away with a high ball. But Josh Murphy really trying to push the pace. The London Elephants, a whole different team from the first half. They're really trying to take time off the clock. They're really trying to take the time off the clock. They're trying to make the clock extend as far as they can. Instead of a 10-second shot clock, they're using a 5-second shot clock at the moment, trying to make every shot really count. So this is where it's going to be vital for these timeouts going into these latter parts of the game. Big defensive stop there by Matthias Jensen, sending the ball across. Blocking effort there by Matthias Jensen. He didn't get there in time to stop the ball over Cole, so he drops the ball, which also is a tactical move by a centre, because it gives you time now. Just to readjust yourself, settle yourself down. Ball's now having to go quite slowly to the other side. Ball's in the hands of Josh Murphy. Bouncing effort against Matthias Jensen, really trying to find the right length. That was a really beautiful bounce there by Josh Murphy in the hands of Josh McKenty. Searching long cross-court effort, does find out of bounds again. So David Scott is back centre with the ball. High ball Cole there. He lifted a little bit early on his shot, which then sent the ball over the high ball line. He didn't stay low on his shot. So we've got a real strong chance for Fenland Tigers to really ice the game out. It is being denied by David Scott. He's really put on a demonstration of blocking penalties, David Scott, so far this game. Ball's in the hands of David Scott again. Bouncing effort against Matthias Jensen. He deals with it well, gathers the ball, passes the ball out onto his left wing of Josh McKenty. Again, another searching long cross-court effort. Finds itself out of bounds. Bouncing effort by Josh Murphy against Dan Roper. Holds the ball well, leans into his shot. Really nice, swooping, smooth effort. Quick return effort by Josh McKenty. Didn't catch it, nice. It was always going to go out of bounds. So now Josh is switching his play, going to the other side. It still finds itself out of bounds. So we've got a timeout call now by the London Elephants. They've got a couple minutes now, well, a couple minutes to make something happen, figure out. I'm just trying to check the scores on the other court. I've not had any results from the other court just yet. So we've got, in the final few moments of this game, We've got a 6-goal lead. The Fenland Tigers wanted to trim that or push that out to a 7-goal lead on that last penalty, but David Scott did deny them. 25 seconds left of the game. So the ball is going to be dropped in on the right hand side. There are about 3 shots left of the game. So that's the first one. A really late timeout call there by the London Elephants. They don't have very long left on the clock on that shot. So we've got 1 shot left for the London Elephants. We might not even have a reply by the Fenland Tigers. They would hold the ball, push themselves into the final where they want to be. They're trying to establish what they need to do on the other side. I don't think they've realised they don't have very long left on the shot. The London Elephants side are talking about a fake run-up or a dummy run, but they maybe have 2 seconds left on the shot clock. There we go. They got the ball away. The Fenland Tigers are going to hold on to the ball. See the game clock out. So we've got our first finalist of day 2 of the playoffs. We've got Fenland Tigers making themselves into the final. The London Elephants will go into the bronze place game, and the Fenland Tigers will go into the gold medal game later on at 2 o'clock. We've got our second semi-final just about to be underway in a few minutes. And we all know it's the Northern All-Stars going to go up against Fen Tigers in the second semi-final. Big Shaz, Big Tones are going to be watching.
Big Shaz and Big Tones are coming. That'll be 11.
You heard it.